Hi, I'm Doc Martin for the Zero Channel KRAZ TV Tucson Mineral Mile. I'm wearing the Mineral Mile hat because I can't find my white KRAZ TV hat, but who cares? What really matters is the wonderful books that we review. Well, this is wonderful, but it's a heartbreaker story too. That's right, first to the front. The untold story of Dickie Chappelle, trailblazing female war correspondent, by another strong woman, Lorissa Rinehart. Buddy, I'll tell you, when you read this book, maybe you won't weep, maybe you will. There are parts that are worth weeping over. Well, Lorissa Rinehart is a cultural critic and historian. That's her. Who was born in Ohio and raised all over the United States. She received her BA in literature at the University of California, Santa Cruz, and earned her MA in experimental humanities at New York University. Her essays have appeared in numerous journals and magazines, including Lapham's Quarterly and Perfect Strangers. When not writing, she can be found photographing the intersection of the urban and the natural, or digging in the dirt with her husband and 2 children in Santa Barbara, California. You know, at the Zero Channel we have a special, a playlist called Our New Chiefs Are Strong Women. And one strong woman wrote about an amazing woman here. Dickie Chappelle. Her name was really Georgette Mayer, but she married a guy named Anthony Chappelle, and after he was 20 years her senior. But anyways, he was a philanderer and just a nutball. So anyways, after many years, she got rid of him, but she kept his name. I side with prisoners against guards, enlisted men against officers, weakness against power. I guess maybe that's what she said, huh? Well, it is a book from St. Martin's Press, New York. From the beginning of World War II through the early days of Vietnam, groundbreaking female photojournalist and war correspondent Dickie Chappelle chased dangerous assignments her male colleagues wouldn't touch, pioneering a radical style of reporting that focused on the humanity of the oppressed. She documented conditions across Eastern Europe in the wake of World War II. She marched down the Ho Chi Minh Trail with the South Vietnamese Army and across the Sierra Maestra Mountains with Castro. She was the first reporter accredited with the Algerian National Liberation Front and survived torture in a communist Hungarian prison. She dove out of planes, she faked her own kidnapping, and endured the mockery of male associates before ultimately dying on assignment in Vietnam with the Marines in 1965. The first American female journalist killed while covering combat. Chappelle overcame discriminations both on the battlefield and at home, with much of her work becoming buried from the public eye until now. And first to the front, Lorissa Rinehart uncovers the incredible life and unparalleled achievements of this true pioneer and the history she would make on history. What a wonderful book she's written about this incredible one. Well, here she is when she was 20 years old with a parachute on. It said, she's ready to defend America, a portrait of Georgetta Louise Mayer, a.k.a. known as Dickie Chappelle, as a member of the Women Flyers of America, an organization formed in 1940 to teach women to fly and then to ferry American bombers to Great Britain. This is one of her last photos here at the end. There's many photos. This is the one on the cover is the one that she liked the most. This was her favorite photograph of herself at work. She wore earrings during pearl and sometimes diamond earrings, but she kept her hair short. Anyways, this is one of her last photographs, and she's wearing she's carrying an M16. So, though the Geneva Conventions prohibited journalists from carrying firearms, the reality of the Vietnam War required that they be able to defend themselves as well, help the battalions they were embedded with if the need arose. That's pretty crazy. Here, Dickie is pictured carrying a semi-automatic rifle while embedded into the Vietnam-Cambodia border with the South Vietnamese Marines. She was born, and well, she was 20 by the time she was married, but she also went up in planes and stuff. And she was daring, she was brave, she was courageous, she was compassionate, she was empathetic, and very knowledgeable. And so she first got in a plane with somebody, and they took her in a power dive. She wanted to know what G-forces were. They got in a dive at the dive went for 10,000 feet, and they pulled out. It was almost 9 Gs. 6 for sure. Anyway, she covered Castro, and she weaseled her way into all these assignments. She was on Iwo Jima, the very only. But she did meet another woman, a British journalist. They got along capitally. She hung out with the nurses a lot because, well, they taught her how to get along, and she started a little thing while she was in the war to study whole blood and giving drive for the people that were injured and needed blood. So she had herself kidnapped so that she could have an excuse to get into Algeria. This was in the earlier wars, I mean before 1957, but after World War II, that France was still pulling colonialism on Algeria, and so she got in with those people. They smuggled her in, and then she got out. Then she went to communist bloc countries, and she was helping people cross at night, and she got arrested and thrown into a prison. Women were being raped, men were being killed, tortured by the Russians and Hungarian authorities, and she thought she was a goner. She stayed in there 50 days, and finally the Americans came and she got out. And oh God, then she went with Castro, and this was before he became, while he was still being hunted in the mountains by Batista. Batista got a lot of American arms, and she would photograph American bombs laying unexploded in soil there in Cuba and stuff. I wonder if she ever met Hemingway. I don't know. I don't think so, but what an amazing time. She had to smuggle a lot of stuff. She came up with inventive stories. She was always taking photographs. She went in the jungle and tried taking flashbulb pictures. Didn't come out too well, but she went back and finally got some good footage. And she was always writing. You know, she wrote for National Geographic, well, Associated Press, I guess. I don't know. She's at different news agencies and New York Times and Reader's Digest. But some of the horrendous things that she showed, uh, a Reader's Digest couldn't publish. So she's seen it all. She's been right there. And I don't guess she ever had to use her rifle and shoot anybody, but she had to carry one there at the end. She was killed by a bullet in 1965 when she was with the Marine. And she said, on November 14th, 1965, this was after she had been killed. She was in the First Unitarian Church on Ogden in Milwaukee. So many of her papers in the back you can see have been gleaned from the Wisconsin State Historical Society. So Lorissa, she thanks so many people who found those papers. So when they arrived, the funeral procession found a dozen red roses from the Hungarian freedom fighters. The Marine Honor Guard buried her, full military honors. A bugler played taps. Two Marines folded the American flag 13 times with a field of blue stars and presented it to her brother, Robert. The 82nd Airborne, whose dedication to service had inspired her to the idea of love as infantry tactic, staged a mass parachute jump over the Dominican Republic in her honor and named their drop zone after her. On the first anniversary of her death, the Marine Corps dedicated a marble plaque to her at Chulai that reads, "To the memory of Dickie Chappelle, war correspondent killed in action near here on 4 November 1965. She was one of us, and we will miss her." I guess that's enough. Can't go on. It's too true. But what a fascinating individual. And thank you, Lorissa Rinehart, for showing this. I hope you enjoy reading it. Sadly, as much as I did, it was still a wonderful, wonderful story. Goodbye and thank you from KRAZ TV and the Zero Channel, where adult issues like this can only be told. Goodbye and hey, thanks. KRAZ TV.